Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you are in the world, and welcome to another edition of the Living World of Darkness. This evening we find Siobhan Juno Milner sitting on the edge of a bed, sort of contemplating, thinking about the course of her life over the past few months and how things have changed from when she first really started getting to know the other imbued in the city and really taking an active role in the city's populace. Currently sitting in little more than a overnight t-shirt, she takes a drag over a cigarette off her cigarette and looks over her shoulder, looking back at the torpid form of Ghost, the vampire who has a certain affinity for her, and one that's been more than useful and seems to, well, have a legit desire to protect her in some ways. She takes a drag off the cigarette once more and blows out the smoke, wondering exactly when, after the sun goes down, the ghost will arise. We start our scene waiting with that.
Okay. First of all, that's okay. Overnight, you've seen Ghost's hair grow to the wavy blonde lengths that it's become, and the transformation that she undertakes, where her skin becomes slightly more sullen. She grows darker bags underneath her eyes. Um, you anyone that's a streetwise as will recognise the face of a addict or someone that partakes more heavily in the night than most do. And this is the form in which Ghost wakes. It's not too long after sunset that her eyes very slowly open, and she awakes from a dreamless sleep. And for a few minutes she just stares blankly at the ceiling above her, focusing.
Juno turns her chin back and notices that Ghost has waken up, and she leans over the now somewhat animated form of her and places a small kiss atop her forehead as she sort of comes to. Morning, or evening, I should say, rather, right?
Ghost's eyes flicker wildly towards you as if she wasn't quite expecting you to be there for some reason, like she'd forgotten in her torpid state you were next to her. And there's a mild alarm, but it soon fades into recognition. And she nods and props herself up on her elbows and reaches for a packet of cigarettes next to the bed. Morning.
So this is what you looked like when you were turned, then.
Yeah, not pretty, is it?
I don't know. Beauty is more or less in the eyes of the beholder. I don't see anything here that I find unappealing. You actually remind me of a younger me. If that makes any sense.
She smirks a little bit. It takes me a while sometimes to really remember where I am. I feel like when I was younger, newer, I used to still wake up feeling hazy, like I was still on the drugs. It was quite weird.
Hmm.
I seem to have outgrown it. She stretches and flexes her arms slightly.
I hope you don't mind that I came over.
No, in fact, she indicates to the fridge in the corner of the room, just in case, as I don't really do breakfast. Picked up some things.
What, from me?
Yeah.
What is it?
Usual breakfasty stuff: bacon, eggs, bread.
I hadn't really even thought to look through your cupboards.
Well, I like to be a considerate host.
So far, you've been nothing but.
She gets up from the bed and moves over to her jeans and pulls them on. Picks up her mobile cell phone from the floor next to her jeans, where she's just sort of toppled out in the night somehow. And she looks through it, checks some messages. No vampire emergencies yet.
What exactly constitutes as a vampire emergency?
Depends on who you ask. They normally only call me if there's someone's heads need bashing together.
Are you like a vampire bouncer?
Something like that.
Hmm. So I'm interested now, I suppose. Let a bit of my guard down considerably. And I'm starting to realize I don't really know too much more about you other than what I've experienced.
she she chuckles to herself. Girls, they always want to know the details. Shoot, what do you want to know?
How about a name?
A name.
I really hope your parents didn't decide to name you Ghost.
No, that's a nickname I picked up on the way.
So then what do they actually call you? What did your parents call you?
I'm led to believe. She frowns a little bit. Uh, Andrea.
Andrea.
But my memory of my human life is very limited.
Same thing happen for everybody, or is that just you?
I think most people. It depends on how traumatic the change was.
How traumatic was it for you?
Pretty traumatic. She blows out some smoke in a over-exaggerated exhale.
Nothing's ever easy, is it?
No,
Hmm.
but I pull through most things. It's just what I do.
I'm guessing you hit it pretty hard then in your normal life.
You could say that. I I don't even know if his accent is actually mine. Something I picked up. Um, from what I've found out, from what I've heard, I sort of only remember maybe about 6 months before I changed, and I was hitchhiking around America on my own uh, in a post 60s psychedelic drug haze.
Oh God, you were a hippie? Juno chuckles.
Ah, I like to party. You know, I like to bathe too, which most of the hippies didn't. But I was up for a free ride. I'm not gonna lie. Anywhere that people would go take me, I'd go, and I got into some pretty messed up situations.
Juno just kind of lowers her head and chuckles as she shakes her head left and right. So I've gotten myself involved with somebody who's well old enough to be my mother.
Yeah, you could say that. I'm also dead, so maybe that makes you a necrophiliac. I'm not quite sure.
Hopefully that's the worst. Hopefully that's the worst thing that comes out of this is that I have to ask myself whether I'm a necrophiliac.
And what about you? Did your parents call you Juno?
Hmm. Originally, no. It was a nickname I picked up in high school and it just stuck.
So, she waves her hand encouragingly.
Oh, right. My name, my given name is Siobhan.
Siobhan. Exotic.
Not really. My mom and dad had a. Well, they convinced themselves that they were of a purely Irish descent, I suppose. And they just had to name their daughter something Gaelic. I remember in grade school, all the teachers having a hard time saying my name. Sile Bahan was really annoying.
Well, from what my name was, I'm guessing that my parents were white middle class. So, Andrea Miller.
A Miller, huh?
Hmm.
Hmm. Mine's Milliner.
Funny.
Interesting how that works.
She stands up and again and goes towards like a little stool with a mirror in front of it and starts applying makeup. Still listening to you, but it's sort of going through her rituals as one does in the morning.
You know, when I first met you, I never would have pegged you for the makeup kind.
It's a necessary evil, you know.
Hmm. I don't think you look too bad without it, but it's your choice.
It's one of those things. You're doomed to look at your own reflection. Vampires in the movies have it easy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie that I was taking a one of these hand mirrors on your table here and constantly holding up to the side of your face about 4 hours ago.
Well, I'm still alive, and that's something.
Yeah, yeah, you are. I thought we were past the point of are they gonna kill me?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, it's always gonna be in the back of my head. I'm sure it's always gonna be in the back of your head.
I suppose it's there, but my chosen occupation, I really don't have the luxury of dwelling on it. I People like me, we this life we kind of choose to undertake it, and it takes its place. And if you're not up to task, you usually die out within your first couple months. I suppose I'm one of the lucky ones in a way.
Hmm. So you guys go patrolling around looking for the weird and freaky.
I do. I can't really say what anybody else does.
Perhaps you could take me on a patrol.
It's not really so stringent and structured as you're trying to make it out to be, but
I've seen Buffy. I know how it works.
oh god.
She's smiling in the reflection that you can see back at you.
I swear to god, if you break out into song and dance, I will put a stake through your heart.
Don't worry. I never had much of a musical voice.
Um, Usually the way it works is I hear about something and I go and look into it.
Speaking of which, this might interest you. She opens a drawer um, near her bedside and pulls out a newspaper article about a body that was found by the Lincoln Tunnel, handcuffed to a tree, um, with all its hair shaved off.
Kind of an undignified way to go.
Yeah, pretty strange.
Anything to do with your people?
Well, the article says it was drained of fluids, which, reading between the lines, the oh so far lines, would lead me to believe that all the blood was drained out of it. And the excess information is that it had blood in and around its mouth. And my opinion is that someone tried to make a vampire and it didn't work.
I suppose I'm gonna ask, and you can you can answer or not as you see fit. But how exactly does it happen? I mean,
Well,
I'm 100% sure that you don't bite somebody and they turn.
what you do is you get some candles, some white linen, play some soft music, and a light mist forms across the curtains below. No. Um, what actually happens is that you drain the person or persons entirely of their blood supply, and then you give them your blood.
Hmm.
It doesn't always work. Some people just die.
Interesting.
The preferred method, where among the people I choose to spend my time with, is that you choose a person, you spend time caring for them, and eventually reveal your nature to them. And then, when you are ready, they agree for this to happen. And then, once they are a vampire, you take them under your wing and teach them the ways and make sure they're well fed until they're old enough to look after themselves. Sort of like being a parent.
Okay, I understand the connotations. It's a little creepy, but then again,
It's like grooming, but yeah. But it's not always done in this way. I mean, I wasn't made in that way, so.
I'm guessing the other way is a little bit less polite.
I mean, a lot of the time, vampires who are less interested in the welfare of what will happen, or just simply want to create chaos, will do this to somebody, give them just enough blood to wake up with, and then sit back and watch the fireworks. Because when a vampire doesn't have enough blood, things get nasty.
What do you mean they get nasty?
We're monsters that feed on blood, and when we don't have enough blood, we become no more than monsters in our efforts to acquire it. The human parts of our brain are overridden with hunger. And that's when a vampire's at its most dangerous.
It's somewhat troubling.
It won't be able to reason any longer. It will simply attack, friend or foe.
You know, if that happens, let's just hope that I'm not around when that happens.
It hasn't happened to me thus far. I'm very careful about how I keep myself topped up.
Is there anything anyone can do to help you stay away from that?
As long as I can feed, and feed regularly enough, it's not a problem. I'm also very careful, as is any sensible vampire, about how I do it.
And what about these other ones, the Sabbath?
It's about,
Okay, Sabbat.
she gets out a electric hair clipper and starts to shave in the mohawk.
Juno's actually going to reach out her hand and attempt to keep Ghost from actually trimming her hair back.
Okay. She stops and looks up.
You know, I kind of like it when you have your longer hair. You should keep it long more often.
You're not the first person to have said that. She puts down the clipper for now. The She pauses as if the physical contact, has distracted her from her train of thought. She shakes her head slightly. The Sabbat are less fussy in how they choose to hunt. They will kill a person without a second thought.
You know, I wonder how many of them, fangs as I sometimes call them, how many of them that I've actually had to run across and fight, how many of them were Sabbat and how many of them were like you.
It's impossible to tell, really. You have to meet the man behind the monster to know.
Not always a luxury that I'm afforded.
No. But then, I suppose that's a casualty of the job.
Well, that's what happens when you fight something that's generally as strong as a bear and as fast as a cheetah.
Mm.
A lot of times equipped with little more than a pistol and a knife.
So why do you do it?
I, for a very, very long time, I did a lot of bad things. Lots of bad things. I helped to destroy people's lives. And I barely got out of that alive. If I'd gone for a few months more, I probably would have OD'd in the middle of some stained mattress on the ground. An instance happened where I witnessed one of your kind murdering someone. And I decided to do something about it. And after you do something like that, it kind of changes you, changes everything about you. And once you've sort of stepped through the door, out of light into the darkness and see everything that goes on, you can't go back. Hell, you can't even tell anybody about it. And so, decided that since I have a lot of things to make up for, a lot of wrongs that need to be righted, I just decided that I was gonna keep doing it.
See.
And I've come across things that are not just your kind. Your kind I see on a nightly basis, and I don't necessarily go on a midnight rampage through a vampire bar, if there are such things. But I've seen creatures made out of corrupted water and sludge. I've seen, for all intents and purposes, what I can only describe as a demon die, come back to life, die again, and then try and take over the mother of its own child. I I've seen some shit, Andrea. I've seen a lot of shit.
She doesn't flinch when you say her name, but there's a reaction like she's not quite used to hearing it.
Gina sits on the edge of the sort of makeup table, crosses her arms as she sort of looks down at her feet. I can't say exactly what drew me into it, beyond just seeing it happen. And I don't know what's made me stay even when things have gotten bad. But people have to do it.
You know, if anyone found out how much information I give you, then I probably wouldn't be long for this world.
I think that goes both ways. But I made my choice and I'm sticking by it.
Oh yeah, I'm as stubborn as the next person.
It is going to be a challenge, though, especially if someone figures this out.
I think your main concern might be Limey. He knows
How
me
much
better
does
than
he?
most.
Yeah, he doesn't always look too thrilled when I'm around.
Well, he's a warrior. He, uh, he doesn't want to see me get killed at the end of the day. He doesn't know much. I mean, he hasn't seen us together since that time we all met up at the bar. And I haven't mentioned you.
And what do you think if old Limey figured out? What do you think he'd do? I'm
Well,
not too worried about what he'd do to you.
he'd have to keep his damn mouth shut. That's for sure.
Do you think he would?
It depends whether he likes walking around with a broken jaw or not. She flicks her eyebrows up. But you can tell she's being quite serious.
Gina just kind of raises her eyes up to Ghosts with a smirk. Well, that'd do it. But,
He knows better than to come across me physically.
well, technically, I know better than to come across you physically or any one of your kind, but
I thought the whole point of our encounter was for you to come across me physically anyway.
ah, cute. I just meant I'm not exactly equipped to handle the kind of punishment that you can put out.
Well, it doesn't. I have a temper. I'll warn you of that, but you're unlikely to bring it out of me. It's it's a weakness, but we all must live with our weaknesses, as we do our strengths.
Hmm. How strong are you? exactly.
Would you like a demonstration? I don't know how to tell you how strong I am. I couldn't show you on you without physically hurting you.
As long as you're not putting anything through me, I can handle myself.
Well, why not? She sort of semi-leaps up from the chair as if she's excited by the idea of showing off her prowess. And she stands up and shakes her shoulders a little bit. And she says, "Try and hit me."
Just like that. All right. Why not? Juno sort of stands up and sort of ties a knot in the shirt that she's wearing at the lower end of it and squares off with Ghost. And you want to roll initiative?
Yeah.
All right. I love this ability.
Oh god.
All right, so my initiative for quick draw is 4,
Um,
7.
I'm rolling Dex plus Wits, aren't I?
It's you add Dex plus Wits to one dice. I have a hunter ability called Quick Draw, so I get to roll an X amount of dice as I
So
have in the
my
skill.
roll is
Just one dice.
Yeah, I just rolled one dice. 11.
I get a 15.
Okay.
All right then.
I don't know how to do that. How do you do that?
It's a hunter skill.
I mean, put the 15 in the corner.
Oh, right underneath in your dice stream, under the roll and clear buttons, there's a counter,
Oh, okay.
and you hit plus or minus, and there's a little white or a little box next to it that's black, and you can choose your color to make it show up against your background. Juno will take a few sort of fainting moves, but Ghost will notice that she's extremely quick on her feet. And it seems that once she commits to actually striking, that she's amazingly quick to the first punch. And she's going to go for a simple punch attack.
Okay.
So 2 successes, so it's strength plus 1. 2 successes.
Okay. I'm going to. Well, I'm going to try and dodge that.
Okay, and we have to dodge 2.
So it's Dex plus dodge.
Dex plus bleh. Dex plus athletics. Well then.
2.
So you completely dodged Juno's attack. Juno's a little bit surprised that when she goes for her strike, that it's not exactly as true as she would have hoped.
Ghost smirks.
Okay.
I said hit me.
Juno just shakes her head and thinking about the ability she could use.
Don't cleave me, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Knowing that that's her bread and butter, that's how she generally...
Do not cleave me. I forbid you out of character.
She just thinks about it and knows that she can't use it here. And she knows that it might be time to brush up on her actual hand-to-hand fighting skills as opposed to, well, just relying so heavily on one aspect of her fighting. But she goes again for a sort of another punch. And yeah, we'll spend a willpower point on it. Why not?
Okay.
And thank God we did. One success.
Okay.
So are you dodging?
Yeah. Woo. She goes, sort of dives at that, moves her sort of head and body out the way more quickly than she did the time before.
Juno sort of nods and sort of smirks with a certain sort of acceptance of, yeah, kind of suck it, throw it a punch. She'll reach down though to the area on the nightstand and pick up a hairbrush.
Okay.
And I guess that would be similar to a club.
Melee.
Yeah,
Melee with a hairbrush.
melee with the hairbrush. And she comes back at Ghost this time with a considerably...
Better dice pool.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. I'm going to dodge one last time. Try to. I'm going to spend a willpower just because I don't want like a fool now that I've dodged it twice and she's attacking with a hairbrush, for God's sake. Good job I did.
Damn it. You'll notice though that she's gotten a little bit closer to actually striking.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's gonna come in for one more and spend a willpower point on this one. Watch this one be absolutely terrible. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with the willpower.
I'm foolishly going to take it this time because I'm going to try and grapple you in my round. So
Okay.
I'm not dodging.
Alright, so that's strength plus 4. That's nothing. 1 bashing.
So, well, I forget. I've got stamina 3.
Yep. And any fortitude you got. I don't think either of them are wearing body armor.
Soak. No. Not at this stage of the morning.
Yeah. So Juno does manage to bring the hairbrush across Juno's face, or across Ghost's face, but it does little to nothing on the vampire, and she just kind of huffs.
I'm going to roll a grapple now, which is strength plus brawl plus protons. But I'm not trying to do damage. Wow. All the ones.
Well, you've still got me. I'm gonna make a strength and brawl counter, I think, to see who gets control of the grapple. So you roll your strength and brawl. Well, actually, yeah, yeah, you've got me. Not by much, but you've got me.
Yeah.
So Ghost has Juno in a grapple.
I'm going to attempt to take her down to the floor. As one does in a grapple.
It's all on you. Actually, I think it's my turn now.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. But...
Alright, I'm gonna try and... Yeah, I'm gonna try and break free.
I want to break free.
I want to cleave, but I can't. Oh, if only I had a specialty in brawl. 1, 2, 3.
I just have brawl 4 and potence
And your dex.
on my dex. Just 4. Wait a minute. Dex 4. Brawl 4 is 8. 9, 10, 11. I should be rolling 11 dice, not 9. Whoops.
Because you so needed it.
Well, yeah. All 10.
Oh, damn, that's gonna hurt. I don't care if it's bashing, that's gonna hurt. That's your takedown.
Yeah.
I take 3 of those out, so how many is that?
I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 successes. We would take 3 out. That's 5.
That's 5, so it's your strength and potence plus 4.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hurt you though. I'm just throwing you on the floor.
Well, let's just see what happens. You can't actually kill me with bashing damage.
No.
Just go ahead and roll it.
What am I rolling?
Your strength and potence plus 4.
10.
I'm good. I'm good.
I've got 2 ones. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to take at least 1 on this one.
Yeah.
I take 2.
Okay.
So yeah, Juno goes down with the takedown and actually kind of lets out her oof as she hits the ground and feels feels an impact that's going to give her probably a new set of bruises, but nothing she can't handle over the course of a night. But she's going to be sore. Okay, so you are strong.
Yeah, this is how easy it would be. She looks towards your neck with a playful smirk.
Juno's going to offer kind of a sly smile as she looks up at Ghost. And she bites her lip for a minute and then just raises a brow at her. You know, I had breakfast this morning. I don't think you did.
Never too much out of one source. Rule number 1. She stands up and offers her hand out.
Juno smirks and takes the hand and gets back to her feet.
I want you fit enough to be active. In your duties, of course.
Right, my duties.
Hmm.
Although I do think a few of them probably include you now. Let's be honest.
Ghost is... She's grinning to herself. But she makes way to having another cigarette instead of doing what she's thinking about.
Juno just sighs and walks to the edge of the bed and sits down and reaches down to her jeans and pulls out a pack of cigarettes and lights up her own. The smell of clove is actually very pungent in the air once she lights it.
So what do you think about this body in the tree?
Well, I suppose it bears some investigation, but it's not exactly my strong suit. I'm more of a pointed instrument.
And so we are peas in a pod in that department.
Yeah. But I can try and look into it for you, but it might be a bad idea. I mean, this, and she points to the ghost and then back to herself. This is just, the two of us. We're not involving anybody else, but if I start investigating, what if I come across your friend Limey or some of your other friends?
Well, it's public knowledge. It was in the papers. It's not something that's only
It
privy
is,
to...
it is public knowledge, but your people are looking into it, right?
Yeah.
Somehow I think if you put too many hands on a pie, eventually some fingers are going to touch, and all joking aside, that could lead to problems. Let me put it to you this way: if let's say your friend Limey decided he saw me out there and didn't take too kindly to it and tried to do something about it. Juno stands and actually walks up to Ghost at that point, and carrying the jeans with her, she pulls something out of one of the pockets and then just very gently places the tip of it against Juno's sort of neck. And then she can see that it's the edge of a blade. I'd have to use this on him. And I can tell you, using this, I'm not a pushover. I know you probably don't think it, but I'm not actually going to do you any real damage.
You see, her expression's changed. There's quite a hard, serious look in her eyes. She flicks her glance from the shine on the blade up to Juno's face. I take your point.
I don't want to. As long as they're acting accordingly, I don't want to hurt anybody that's close to you.
I used to promise myself that I wouldn't let anyone get close to me, but I've been breaking that promise more and more recently. You know, I ended up having to effectively cease my... She doesn't know what else to call it, so she just throws it out there. Dating of somebody else quite recently.
Juno just sort of lowers the knife and sets it on the nightstand behind the ghost, and then moves up very close to her, to the point where their bodies are touching and her face is just a few inches from Ghost's. Do you really like me that much that you're taking yourself off the market, in a manner of speaking?
Oh, he wasn't all that happy.
I'm not going to wake up with, like, Dracula standing over me at some point, am I?
Oh no, he was enamored of an image of me that was not the person you see before you, but rather a role I was taking on and trying out.
Position of power?
It was something like that. I think he was definitely more enamored of me than I was of him, but then it's far easier for two vampires to become entangled than it is in our situation.
I'm actually somewhat floored that you chose someone like me over your own kind.
Perhaps I like a challenge.
I'm sure you do, but... And she leans in very close at that point and places a few fingers against Ghost's lips. What exactly decided to make you take this leap of faith with me?
She obviously doesn't breathe, so the inhale might look a little bit funny to you, but she does sort of sigh. I honestly don't know.
You know, they say that relationships based on impulse usually end tragically. But
Well, they also say that relationships based on logic usually end very dully, but I've always been the one for the flavorful option. But that's not the only reason that, I'm not. You don't know me very well right now, but I'm not someone that gambles with my life for nothing. I've made a very long career, if you will, of living and keeping out of situations that would get me otherwise killed off. This is truly against my nature, better judgment, good sense, all of the above. But there is a connection between us that I felt the first time that we spoke, and overrides my
Common sense?
yeah, common sense. Yeah, that one.
Well, for what it's worth, I'm glad that you picked me.
Hmm.
And with that, she'll actually lean in for a very soft and tender kiss.
Ghost um, returns the kiss, and for once you can actually sense that there's no defenses there. She's not trying to be jovial or bon vivant, for want of a better word. She's not trying to put it off or put more lust into it than there is care. There's genuine vulnerability in how she responds to the kiss.
Gino finally just pulls away and rests her forehead against Ghost's. I don't have really anything to do tonight. Do you just want to go out for a walk tonight?
I don't see why not.
Well then, let's get dressed and see what the town has in store for us.
I think we can end the scene there.